and today we're going to be installing aspect matted glass peel and stick tile. Fully primed. You can use method 1, simply peel and stick. If you don't want to prime your walls, you can use method 2, which involves using a liquid adhesive.
And that's the method that we ended up going with. This is what the kitchen looked like before we painted the cabinets and before we put the backsplash in. And you can see behind the sink, the tile is not all the way at the top and all the way at the bottom. So what we had to do, because we didn't want to take down the tile and take down the wall with it, we went ahead and went to Lowe's or Home Depot. We found the wood that was the same thickness as the tile, and we cut it to size and put a strip of it on the top and a strip of it on the bottom, and that way it was all one level, and it made it a lot easier putting on the new tile on top of that. As opposed to here on the left side of the screen next to the stove, we took down that tile, and that was the first tile we took down, and with it came the wall, and so we had to drywall it, and so that's what we wanted to avoid behind the sink. So here we drywalled behind the sink, we just made it all one level. This is the tile that we ended up getting. And because these were a bit pricey, just because each pack is like 20 bucks for 3 of these, we went ahead and on most of the backsplash we just did the bottom strip, and then behind the sink and next to the stove we did the entire wall. And this is what I ended up using to put the backsplash on the wall. This heavy duty adhesive, this adhesive gun, I don't even know what that's called. And so what my husband would do is he would go ahead and cut the pieces he needed to cut, and then meanwhile I went ahead and sanded down the wall, any areas that needed to be sanded down, and I cleaned everything off to make sure the area we were putting the backsplash on was clean, and so that way it would stick really well to the wall. When my husband would cut these, if he did, I would make sure that the tiles in between each row was clean before I put it on the wall, because you can't clean it once it's on the wall. And I just took a Q-tip with a little bit of alcohol and cleaned off any dirt or any markings that he left behind with the marker. Before I put the glue on each piece of tile, so each on each of these, I went ahead and made sure that they fit really well before I put the glue on, because it's really hard to do that once the glue's on. The backing of these come off really easily, and you can technically just put this on the wall just like that, but we wanted to make sure it was very well stuck to the wall, so we went ahead and used the adhesive. I have no method in how I do this. I did it with our last house, so I kind of remembered the way I did it there, and it worked really well. So I just kind of go onto the piece of tile, onto the tiles, and I just kind of dot it, making sure that I'm not too close to the edge, because if you're too close to the edge when you put this up on the wall, some of the glue can squeeze out, and when it dries it looks dirty, so you want to make sure you're not too close to the edge. Once I make sure that it's on the wall and everything's okay, I then start pressing on the tiles. I don't do that until I make sure everything's lined up, because then it's really hard to take off from the wall. I had to do that with a couple of these, and it's really hard. We went row by row. It's a lot easier to do it that way, so I would do the first row. If we needed to go up to the second row, my husband would go ahead and start the cut on the edge. So you want to start on the corner to make sure that cut's okay, and then just proceed down the row. And then if you need to do a second row, go to the corner, make that cut as you need to, and then go on with this row. And honestly, this didn't take as long as I thought it was gonna take, even though it's a bigger kitchen than our last house. I think we did this in just a couple of days. After work, we got home like around 6, worked for maybe an hour to 2 hours max each of those days, and then we were able to finish it. And so this was after the first day. We did a lot of it, but we didn't end up finishing that day, so we moved it on to a second day. And this is what it looks like now. I'm really happy with the way it looks. I'm really happy with the end product. You can see right here on the side we only went with 1 row. That's because of just the price. Behind the sink we did do the full wall just because we wanted to cover the old tile, and I think it looks really nice, really clean. And then you can see right here by the stove, again, we did the entire wall. And we did change these plates and these outlet covers, and that's gonna get done throughout the house, but these are kind of pricey. We did it with our last house, but our last house was a lot smaller, and so it's just gonna take us some time to do that in this house. And this video took me a little bit longer to put up than I anticipated because you can see here, we ended up changing out the floor. We didn't know it was going to happen so soon. A tile store ended up opening up in town, and we got a really good deal on this floor. We were initially going to buy marble floor, but we actually found this marble-like porcelain, and we ended up paying half for this. So we went ahead and also took down some of the leftover curtain rods that were on this window, and then I painted this old radio / intercom that actually still works throughout the house, but it was this brown, just wood color, so I went ahead and painted that, and this is what the kitchen looks like now. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I think changing the floor really made a huge difference. I still have the lighting to do. That's up next.